The European Union has agreed to ban the sale of new fossil fuel cars by 2035 after offering concessions to Germany. The deal comes after months of negotiations following an unexpected 11th-hour objection from Berlin. Under the terms of the new deal, combustion engines will still be allowed to be sold as long as they run on more environmentally friendly synthetic fuels rather than diesel or gas. Critics say the caveat could encourage emissions cheating, as was seen in the Dieselgate scandal, and lessen the incentive to switch to electric mobility. The ban on fossil fuel cars is a key part of the EU's aim to become climate neutral by 2050. For more on this, we can talk to reporter Louise Osborne. Louise, welcome along. What exactly are these synthetic fuels that are exempt from the ban?
So we're talking about things like e-kerosene, e-methanol, e-methane. These are fuels that are made using carbon dioxide emissions and hydrogen, and a key component of that is also electricity. Now, depending on whether they use renewable electricity or electricity made from fossil fuels, will tell us whether these e-fuels are actually carbon neutral or not. Critiques of this decision that has been made say that there aren't enough renewable sources in the EU to cover e-fuels being made. E-fuels are actually 5 times more energy intensive or need 5 times more electricity than electric batteries, for example. So this could be a big problem. Supporters are saying, though, that it would be better to be able to transition the car fleet in a more steady way using e-fuels. There are a lot of cars in the EU. It's over 250 million, so there's a lot that needs to be done.
OK, so just so I understand the ban, right? If I buy a dirty fossil fuel car today and I still have it in 2035, can I keep it?
You can keep it. So you could keep running that car for as long as you want, essentially. I mean, what the EU is doing is they want to try to cut carbon emissions. Transport is worth accounts for 25% of carbon emissions in the EU, so it's a big batch, and they want to cut that down. It just means that the car that you buy, for example, would end up being more expensive, essentially, in terms of the fuels needed to run it, the insurance, these kinds of things, because they want to push you, obviously, to electric or maybe an e-fuel run car instead. And electric vehicles are looking to be less expensive by 2030. Some studies say 10 to 30% more or less expensive. So maybe, you know, if you're purchasing a car, you want to think about those things too.
Very well explained. Thank you so much, Louise Osborne. Now, the rush to embrace cleaner mobility has highlighted the need to ramp up the production of electric batteries. But getting projects off the ground isn't always straightforward. In Hungary, plans to build one of Europe's largest electric battery plants have been met with fierce resistance from locals. Here's why.
In the suburbs of Debrecen, people are angry and frustrated over the construction of a massive Chinese-owned battery factory for electric vehicles.
It will pollute the environment a lot, and nobody cares about the interests of the people who live in this region.
The group behind the protest is Mothers Against the Battery Factory, an alliance of mothers concerned about the potential effects on health. Mariam Biro is one of the mothers. She's been taking to the streets for her children, she says.
We plan to spend our entire lives here, that's for sure. Now we're concerned about lack of water, about water pollution, what they'll allow to go into the water. Because then I can no longer trust that what I buy from local producers is organic.
Debrecen in East Hungary is a government stronghold. But many here who support the ruling Fidesz party, like Marian, feel let down. She shows us how close the plant will be to residential areas, covering at least 220 hectares, the size of more than 200 football fields. The battery plant is said to be one of the biggest of Europe. Soil preparation for the plant have already begun. Estimated costs, 7.3 billion euros. Scheduled completion year 2028.
Many locals here say this farmland, the water and the air of the region will become toxic. The government says the plant will create new jobs and people's concerns are based on fake news.
China's growing foothold in Hungary is no surprise. It is part of Orban's long-standing policy to look east. He wants to promote Hungary as a hub for electric vehicle batteries, and Hungary is currently in dire need of investment as it struggles with inflation, a weak currency, and declining EU subsidies. Resistance for the plan started to grow after the drought last year dried up this lake near the construction site. The water is back for now, but environmentalists are concerned.
If more consumers come to the region, if industry capacities expand, the need for water will grow, and that will worsen the situation. Water doesn't come by itself. Water only comes from rainfall.
The problem is not with the battery plants in general, environmentalists say, but where they are built.
In Hungary, the government wants to set up so many battery plants that they could produce a fifth of the entire EU supply. That means Hungary would produce batteries for so many people, 8 to 10 times more than the current Hungarian population needs, and Hungarian resources very likely can't cope with that amount.
The local government in Debrecen declined our interview request about the environmental feasibility of the battery plant. Officially, the first phase of construction has been approved. For Marianne, it's clear, if the plant isn't stopped, she wants to put her house up for sale and leave.